According to legend, El Cucuy is the boogeyman monster found in Mexico. He is described as a frightening creature, misshapened and hairy all over. Among the other distinctive physical characteristics, El Cucuy is said to have large bat-like ears, red eyes that glow in the dark, with a set of large, razor-sharp teeth that can remind you of the barracuda fish. The urban legend states that El Cucuy attacks and abducts the people who do not display exemplary behavior. I bring you the UFC's Tony El Cucuy Ferguson.
I need to start by saying I love Tony Ferguson for his unique methods of training, outside the box thinking, and viral-worthy one-liners made of gold. He has cemented himself as the weirdest UFC fighter maybe ever, but also the most creative. Watching him in his prime was like watching an artist paint a beautiful picture on their white canvas with dripping hot blood. He was a true pioneer of the sport and showed what hard work and a gas tank from Fast and the Furious and creative striking and grappling can do in this sport. One of the most entertaining fighters inside and outside of the octagon, this is the story of my favorite fighter, Tony El Cucuy Ferguson. Tony Ferguson was born February 12, 1984 in Oxnard, California. He was picked on as a kid and called the Little Mexican with
Big ears,
which explains the El Cucuy reference and his relentless style. Though this did not deter young Tony, but rather spark more fire for him to excel later in high school athletically. Being the starting defensive back for his 2000 state champion football team, as well as winning the state championship for wrestling in 2002, and being a promising baseball player, a real triple threat. Tony attended the Muskegon Catholic Central High School. From there, he went back and forth between colleges and ended at Muskegon Community College, where he did not finish his degree, but he won the national championship for wrestling in 2006 at 165 pounds. Following college, Tony would work dead-end jobs as he could and was a very hard worker. One night, working a late shift at a bar, a man started a conversation about his cauliflower ear. Tony explained his wrestling career, and this man explained he was a well-respected trainer. He then invited Tony to help teach some wrestling classes to kids. This is when Tony decided to go full force with MMA and leave that bar for the busboy to get ankle picked.
Stand you. What the fuck are you talking about? Shut up before I ankle pick you. Ankle pick you.
He started his professional career in small California organizations. He had applied for the UFC's Ultimate Fighter 3 times by this point and had not been chosen. He finally amassed a 10-2 record and was noticed by UFC president Dana White in 2010, going on to win the 170-pound Ultimate Fighting Championship in the Ultimate Fighter 14, thus becoming a full-fledged UFC fighter. From there, Ferguson's next 2 opponents in a row pulled out due to injury. Then walked in Michael Johnson, a real beast and a vet to the game, and it was a great fight. Tony did lose that fight via unanimous decision, and the fight ended with a bad arm injury, so Tony was forced to take a year away from competition. He had lost his first fight and won the Ultimate Fighter by decision, which in UFC standards is a bad start, and if he didn't start winning and performing better in his next fight, cut. I believe this is when the Boogeyman was born. When Tony returned in 2013 at UFC 166, he beat Mike Rio by impressive first-round Darce choke and won a Performance of the Night bonus. El Cucuy had arrived. He then went on a glorious rampage of terror through the lightweight division, beating names like Rafael dos Santos, Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone, Kevin Lee, and 8 other souls in a 7-year stretch, making most of these men unrecognizable by the end of it. Also, I need to mention that Tony Ferguson was scheduled to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov 6 times within that 7-year stretch, and it is a shame we never got that fight with both of them at their prime. That leads me to the next part of the story. Tony was scheduled to fight Khabib as the first fight back from COVID at UFC 249 in April. Khabib had to pull out because of a stomach sickness, and Tony had already cut weight for the fight since Khabib pulled out the night before. Tony still made weight to prove a point, which also later might have played a major role in the beginning of his decline. One will never know. He then took a fight with Justin Gaethje, which was postponed to 1 month later. So within 25 days, Tony changed opponents and made weight 2 times. This might not seem like a big deal, but weight cuts are very dangerous and so taxing that thinking of 2 in 1 month makes my stomach hurt. So, come Tony vs. Justin, first fight back with no crowd and able to hear a pin drop. It was on this fateful night that Tony walked out of that cage a changed man forever. Justin dominated the fight from bell to bell and is one of the hardest hitting lightweights in history. We all knew how tough Tony was, but he took over 50 of Justin's biggest shots to the face, to the point his body was twitching from the central nervous system damage. The ref and/or Tony's corner should have stopped the fight in the 3rd to the 4th round, in my opinion. But they let Tony go out and take more shots for another almost 2 full rounds till Gaethje's punches finally dropped him and Herb Dean called it off with 1 minute remaining in round 5. Now, I didn't want to break this fight down, everyone knows what happened, but I need to say, since Tony made weight to fight Khabib, he should have taken more time and not took that fight. Ever since the 12-fight win streak in that horrible night, he has not been the same, losing 6 straight. That's not to say there isn't anything good to take from those performances. He fought all of the top guys, didn't tap to a full-blown armbar, and in his last fight was beating the shit out of Michael Chandler in the 1st round, till Chandler landed a front kick from hell. That yes counts, and yes is a win, but to me I call it lucky. I think it's only the 3rd KO by front kick in UFC history. If anyone knows for sure, correct me in the comments. Anyway, in the 1st round I saw glimpses of El Cucuy. So now he has lost 6 fights in a row and is training with famous trainer David Goggins, who is known for his over-the-top military no-cry attitude in training. He mainly trains cardio and mental toughness. So my question is this the right guy for Tony Ferguson? I actually think so. Goggins said, "I wasn't sure at first. I said I'm gonna break this guy." He started his regimen the next day, had Tony at 25 minutes of a crazy workout and said, "Do you want to stop?" Tony went harder and smiled at him. He said the way he smiled at him in that moment, he knew. So I feel like all Tony needed to do was unleash the savage he truly is again. His fighting ability will always be there. So with getting his mind back to savage, I think it gives him a great chance to win his next fight. He is fighting none other than Paddy Pimblett. Breakdown for that fight coming, as this is not what this video is about. I wanted Paddy to keep winning, but he did run into my favorite fighter, Tony Ferguson. I believe in Tony and think he will retire win or lose after this crazy showdown. Can Paddy get the jump on a true legend, or
Will El Cucuy rise from the ashes
and come out to play for one more amazing
night?